Welcome to TOMMO'S Race CHINWAG, your favourite Formula 1 podcast produced by a British biased bloke with a massive Swede full of very questionable wheel knowledge. Broadcast live on YouTube and after the fact on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We have a good old natter about each and every Grand Prix of the season. My name's Tommo, let's talk about it. Hello, you lovely people wherever you are in the world. My name's Tommo and let's talk all about that 2025 Dutch Grand Prix. 5 minutes late to the live stream, but never mind, we're here, okay? It's about time, Lomo, late, all right? Cook me in the chat. Aaron, Halita, Cone, Adnis, Stoppy, Rainer, Priest, Ryu, Daniel, Moon, J, NL96, Francine, Spark, Violet, Citizen, Josh, Kelly, Brayton, and the rest of you. It is a pleasure, as always. And we're going to get straight into the meat and bones of this one. What did we make of this 2025 Dutch Grand Prix? Please, if you are in the live chat, give me some numbers, give me some ratings, give me something to go on. Then I'll do a poll to get a rough idea of what your race rating out of 10 is. 1, absolute stinker, boring, terrible, the worst race of all time. 10 out of 10, certified banger. What do we think? Seeing a lot of 7s, some 6s, some 8s. A 10 from Izzy. Big Oscar fan, clearly. And we've got a, what's the lowest we've seen? We've seen a 4 from MG. Clearly a Lando fan. We've got a lot to get into, haven't we? Ooh, spoiler alerts. But depending on what side of the papaya you live on, you'll be very happy or very not with what happened in this race. So, right, what we're doing. Race rating out of 10. I think top end's probably an 8. So 8 or above. A 7. A 6 or a 5, and I'll let you lot cook 5 or below, should I say, in the poll. So, F1 back after a long summer break, an incident-filled race, wasn't it? I listened to Alex's post-race chat, and he was like, "Some people still on holiday. They've not got off holiday mode because there was some incidents, weren't there? And the rain never really came down, although it did." Certainly, almost certainly, play a part in a certain Sir Lewis Hamilton's crash, his incident himself. So, yes, it factored in, but not as much as it could have. And it was a kind of shame because Max was a ominous continued threat within that race behind the McLarens when it all accordioned back under safety car. Obviously, in race pace conditions, he was nowhere near the McLarens because they're on a different planet, especially around Zandvoort. But would have been nice to see a bit more rain. I think Max would have been a bigger factor in this race. And perhaps the cooling effect of a bit of rain might have seen no oil leak for Lando Norris, which did, spoiler alert, end his Grand Prix. But you shouldn't be listening to this if you've not seen the race. Okay, surely, come on. Right, what are we saying then? Rating out of 10, 41% of you giving this an 8 or above, 42% of you a 7, 14% a 6, and 4% of you a 5 or below. For me, my race rating out of 10 was a 7. I'll give it a 7. And actually, most of it not being higher, being an 8 or a 9, is because it's Zandvoort. It's just frustrating because it's such a vibe. It's such a circuit. It's got so much history attached to it as well. But it just doesn't work for F1, does it? It just doesn't. It's too narrow. The twisty elements to it I like because, yes, it's a short lap, but there are so many corners. There's like 19, 13. I can't even remember off the top of my head how many corners there are. There's plenty of corners. It's a huge challenge to these drivers. We see many drivers come a cropper at Zandvoort, and those are the kind of circuits we want. However, we also want wheel-to-wheel racing. We want the ability to overtake, and it's just too difficult around Zandvoort. Maybe yes, turn 1, but even then you need a big tyre delt, and we saw plenty of DRS trains kind of spoiling it. J-Pro, there were good midfield battles. There were because of tyre offsets at times. We did get at times tyre offsets, but the majority of that race within the midfield was a big, filthy DRS train. We saw Fernando Alonso couldn't get through, pitted, caught up to the DRS train, and then it all went chaotic again. And actually, he benefited from that in the end by making that pit stop and then recatching the DRS track. And that told you how powerful it was, because the Haas just decided, boom, we're going to leave it all out there, see what happens. And turns out for Haas, making that gamble, and we've talked about this in the past, when you've got nothing to lose, sometimes being able to take that gamble on strategy pays off in the end. And that certainly did for Haas this time out. But yes, your race rating out of 10, I mean, 40% of you are giving it an 8 or above, 42% of you are 7, so you're probably averaging out about a 7.5, I reckon. You've given it a 7.5, I've given it a 7. All in all, I had a good time. I enjoyed myself. It was interesting. A few too many crashes making it interesting. There were some Charles Leclerc's move on George Russell on the edge of legality, absolutely, but on the right edge of legality as far as I'm concerned. And what a move he put on George Russell. That was superb. And a very, very, what's the word? Fills your soul, doesn't it? Isack Hadjar, first podium in Formula 1. Lovely jubbly. Lovely jubbly. We love to see it. What's it with new podium people? Nico Hulkenberg finally getting it done. Isack Hadjar in his first year of Formula 1 on the podium. Love to see it. Heartbreak for Lando, of course, but every clouds. And at least someone who's never got a podium before was the one to benefit from it. Not just, George has got enough podiums, right? Isack, love your work. Love your work. Right. Leclerc and Russell was leaked. I agree. It was a banger. It was a certified banger. Right. So, quality results. First of all, let's talk about Saturday, shall we? Oscar Piastri putting it on pole. Just these two have nothing between them, do they, in qualifying pace? We'll look at the averages over the course of the season, but it is negligible. It is basically nothing. 12 thousandths of a second, almost burped as I was talking there. That would have been disgusting. 12 thousandths of a second is nothing, but made all the difference. Oscar just about nipped Lando when it mattered. Lando spent a lot of practice ahead of Oscar. He seemed to have the advantage going for FP1, 2 and 3, but when it counted in qualifying, Oscar just got the job done. Did he benefit a bit from a toe? Perhaps. When it's 12 thousandths of a second, that's pretty negligible. Nothing in it between them two. 2.5 tenths ahead of Max Verstappen. The only other car to get into 108s was Max Verstappen, lining up P3 ahead of Isack. Big lap from Isack Hadjar. Huge. Jumped Russell and both Ferraris, which ended up paying dividends. We've talked about this being a bit of a quality formula at the moment, and the fact that Hadjar was able to just nip those three drivers and then convert and get a podium, huge. Would have been in P4 without Lando's DNF, which would have been thoroughly earned, because Charles was giving him something to think about all race, wasn't he? But anyway, Liam Lawson, so both drivers, both Racing Bulls drivers, should I say, into Q3, but Liam wasn't able to quite find that pace. He was about, I want to say, 2.5 tenths off of Hadjar. I'll do it on my spreadsheet, I'll look in a minute, in Q3 when it mattered. So Isack got the job done over Liam, but it has been closer as of late, but not on this occasion. Carlos Sainz, P9, it's always one Williams. It's never both. And we saw this play out in the race the other way round, didn't we? Fernando Alonso crept into Q3 as well. Hannah in the chat. Hannah's not here. Minton's not here. I'm still using my mum's internet for the time being. Hopefully pre-race live stream for the Italian Grand Prix at Monza on Wednesday. Hopefully that will be coming from the other office, the other mother. But there, we'll see about that. We will see about that. So that's how qualifying went. Stroll, obviously, having his incident meant he was starting at the back. The Haas in a very bad place as well. P18, P19 for them. And Albon, his tyres were nowhere. He was fuming on the radio in Q2. Couldn't get the job done and started P15, which is not good. But what matters is the result on Sunday. So, head-to-heads after 18 of 30 sessions so far this year. Tsunoda has the average gap to Verstappen under 6 tenths. Yes! Come on, you. That's a win. That's surely a win. He was exactly half a second off of Max in Q2. He was 2.5 tenths off of Max in Q1, but double that in Q2, which was a shame. Because I was like, come on, Yuki. This is now the time. You know, good quality in Spa relative to Max. Good quality in Hungary relative to Max. Not so good quality relative to Max this time out in Zandvoort. But we'll see again in Monza. Russell Antonelli 319, Alonso Stroll 290, Gasly Colapinto 240, Hadjar Lawson 185. Not much change there. And then 177 Leclerc to Hamilton. The Piastri Norris gap is on average 0.107 of a second advantage. Oscar Piastri. And then Albon Sainz 0.44, 0.44. Bortoletto Hulkenberg 0.42. Ocon Behrman 0.24. So still super close between most drivers. And 6 of the teammate pairings are split by less than 2 tenths. Which is, if you're under 2 tenths, that's fairly marginal. You know what I'm saying? And 3 pairings below half a tenth, which is essentially completely marginal. So, very, very good. Very well done. Bortoletto out-qualifies Hulkenberg again. Might not have been able to convert a big race result in the Sauber, but he's doing the job over a lap. That cannot be denied. So, race results then. Piastri, Verstappen, Hadjar. Norris was counted as a finisher because he completed enough of the Grand Prix. You're not counted as a DNF, so he does get P18. Not that that matters. It's nil point. It's heartbreak. It's an oil leak. It's, you know what, a shame, because I do feel like there is enough in Lando and Oscar to take this championship to Abu Dhabi. But when something like this happens, so close to the end of the race, there was, like 7 laps left, wasn't there? Something like that? You know, it's a shame. It is a shame from a championship point of view. Did Oscar deserve the win on the day? Look, he got the job done in qualifying and controlled the race. And as you say, Isaacson, Oscar did get the Grand Slam as well. Fastest lap, pole position, led every lap. Just never in doubt, you know. I mean, Lando put a bit of pressure on him in that final stint. But that's the problem with Zandvoort. You need a big delta to even be able to get alongside to try and get a move done with DRS, and Lando was never having enough delta. He would have needed to pressure Oscar into a mistake, and Lando was pushing for, you know, we had a good 30 or basically half the Grand Prix, more than half the Grand Prix of Lando pushing flat out, trying to catch Oscar, trying to put him under pressure, trying to pressure him into a mistake, and Piastri did not crack. Which is an ominous sign for Lando going forward, not to mention losing out on 18 points himself and Oscar getting the full 25. Tough one to take, as much as the right driver won on the day. But then again, you know, and I've titled this Lando's, you know, run out of luck. I think I've said this before, you know, up until this point, Piastri's deserved, he's been the better driver this season and has deserved a bigger gap. And I'm just talking performance. I'm not, you know, merit-wise, I think Oscar has merited having a bigger gap than he has and has got more unfortunate, has had more bad luck, or Lando's had more good luck relative to Oscar, however you want to frame it. And Lando's had a nice dose of bad luck, and I think this kind of evens things out. Honestly, at this point of the season, for there to be a 34 point, whatever the gap is, I will show you that shortly on the screen. I think that is representative. I think that is a fair gap given how far we are into the season and how many races we've had, in my opinion. And I think it's kind of levelled it out, essentially. But yes, Russell P4, pressure on Hadjar at the end, not too much though. I'm glad you left Isaac alone, George. You've got plenty of podiums. You don't need another one. Albon P5, Behrman P6, Stroll P7. These are drivers who came from P15, P20 and P19 respectively to get comfortably in the points. Not even just fringe points, comfortably in the points. Benefiting from double Ferrari DNF, Leclerc and Hamilton. Norris DNF, of course, as well. But yeah, this was a This was a mad one. And you are right, Tuddin. Hadjar did also break his trophy during the team photo at the end. Not quite as spectacularly as Lando broke his, or Max's, Hungarian Grand Prix trophy a few years back. But yeah, he kind of snapped the top off. He's a strong lad. He's a strong lad, Hadjar. He does... What is he? Is it judo he does? But either way, he's hench. So no wonder that trophy snapped in his hands. Yuki gets a point, 2 points, in fact, in P9, which I'm very happy about. Both Aston Martins as well, which was a strange one because you felt like actually they should have got more from this race, actually. I think given the pace Alonso had, in particular, given the mistakes Lance made and starting at the back, I feel like this was actually, as much as they're both in the points, maybe an opportunity missed for Aston Martin. Tough to say, you know, you see them both in the points, you're like, oh, clearly a very, very good weekend, but could have been more. And then Ocon, somehow, fringe points. Again, P18 and P19 for Ocon Behrman in qualifying, recovered to P6 and P10 in the race. Lovely jubbly. What's with the noisy audio? We've got some noisy... To be fair, my laptop fan is going like mad at the minute, so I do apologise if that is... coming across in the stream. I don't think it's too bad. But yes, would have loved to have seen that race with Fernando in better machinery and not stuck in traffic. And of course, yeah, science out the points, which you think, you know, he's running in the points and should be delivering in the points. Lawson also running in the points and falls out of them. Obviously, Science getting the 10-second penalty as well, which is very contentious, and we'll get into that. Antonelli having a pretty mad race. Oh, Kimi, he's see having the little break. I think was good for him, but then, you know, shunting in, well, not shunting, but beaching it in FP1, and then harpooning Charles Leclerc. He went for a gap that was there, but quickly wasn't there, and ended Leclerc's race. Kimi honk. Yeah, I don't think Kimi honking was enough, Marta, to let Charles know that he was coming. I need a summer break after this, Matthias. Matthias is already one and done. But yes, those are the race results, which result in these driver standings after, that definitely should say 15 of 24 at the top. How did I update you with team standings and not driver standings? Anyway, after 15 of 24 rounds, Piastri... Wait, hang on. No, that's why this has happened. Right, we're going to look at team standings first, because I have done the graphic, but just for some reason it didn't save. To be fair, I was having a bit of mare with these graphics earlier, because it was really hot, and I didn't bring the mouse with me, so I was using the trackpad, and it kept making Photoshop do these like mad things, and it was doing my head in a bit. That's why I was 5 minutes late. That's my excuse, okay? What was it? So when they're blaming their equipment, you know they're in the right. Clearly. Okay. That should be updated now. Bosh. Lovely jubbly. After 15 of 24 rounds, continue as if nothing's happened here. It was going so I know it was going smooth, Mark. Also, I'm a bit sweaty in here, not going to lie. But my mum likes to keep her house warm. So, Oscar Piastri's lead over Lando Norris is 34 points. I was correct earlier. And then Lando 70 ahead of Max. Again, none of these positions really matter apart from who is P1. Although there are some movers here. Obviously, Hadjar moves up big time, 37 points now on the board for that 15 points for P3. Huge. Tsunoda moves down to P19. Tsunoda is the lowest point scoring driver because Colapinto still hasn't got a point yet in F1 right now. Ah, dear. Yeah, I'm holding my Yuki coin so tight and so desperately. I need a good Yuki result, please. If West Ham can have a good result today, then Yuki can get a good result. Miracles can happen, okay? Oh dear. Other than that, in terms of movers, not any big ones. I mean, Ocon moves down a bit. he was P10 before this Grand Prix, now it's P13 because of obviously Hadjar, Stroll and Alonso all getting big points on the board, but that's about it. That is about it. So those are the driver standings, and these are the constructors. Obviously McLaren miles ahead, don't really care anymore. We know they've done it. Ferrari didn't score a single point, of course, this weekend because both of their cars did not finish the race. Mercedes scored with only one car, so that gap is now 12 points. Ferrari ahead of Mercedes, 260 to 248. Red Bull, obviously, with Max scoring big time. Yuki, a couple of points as well. Williams consolidating P5 with Albon's P5 finish, which scored him 10 points. And then Aston Martin, good day for them. Could have been better, maybe, but all in all, good day. And they stay ahead of Racing Bulls, even with Isaac's P3. So Aston Martin 62, Racing Bull 60, Sauber 51. They dropped from P7 to P8. And Haas, good day, double points as well. So Alpine, all off on their own, 20 points, less than half the points of Haas with 44. Ouch. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Alpine, Gasly, you can only do so much. I was hopeful. I wanted to manifest an Alpine banger, and wasn't quite to be. And don't worry, Sports Rank, I'll get on to the Science Lawson incident in good time. So, those are the team standings. And then, before we get on to bangers and clangers, little F1 Academy overview. As you can see, Mayer won the second race ahead of Pomowski and Dorian Ba. And Dorian still leads the championship. Obviously, Mayer's up there as well. Chloe Chambers, she didn't start that second race. No F2 and F3 in Zandvoort this weekend. Was a bit of a shame. I was watching a podcast with, it was the race podcast with one of the Dutch commentary fellas, and he was saying they kind of struggled to shift tickets. Try and say that 10 times really quickly. For the Friday at Zandvoort, because only F1 Academy, it'd have been nice if they had the F2 and F3 as well, but at least there was some support racing going on. So, well done, Maya. Closing the gap now, it's Dorian's on 127 points, ahead of Maya with 107, and then Chloe's on 93. Them three have been the kind of cream of the crop this year, so fair play to him. Alicia's just not quite had the consistency, is she? But Singapore, Las Vegas are the final two kind of weekends, and there's kind of 2 rounds per weekend. So, very good, F1 Academy. And also, who won the first race as well? She's the Alpine driver. Because I'm like she's been doing loads of content for a while now, and she wasn't meant to. Nina Gabeman, that's it, and she was meant to. Wasn't she meant to like sit the race out or something? But then obviously they had the reverse grid for the first race. It's not reverse grid. The first race she won basically, and Leah Block got a P2 as well, first podium in F1 Academy. So that was cool, and yeah, you could see it meant a lot to Nina at the end. So that was good vibes only. Declared unfit in practice. That was the one. Doha. I knew there was something there. I am absolutely roasting in this room. I'm absolutely roasting. But never mind. Watch a pale, pasty white man sweat and slowly melt. Oh dear, dearie me. Right. Okay. So we've done all that. Let's go on to back to full screen. We've done the race rating out of 10 poll, lovely jubbly. We've got a few super chats to get on to. Thank you, Suyan, for the super chat, appreciate it. Let's be honest, Tom, Lando's DNF only levelled the field on the luck factor for both Papayas, Hungary, Silverstone, flashbacks and more. Yeah, look, I kind of said this earlier, I guess. I must have subconsciously taken in what you said, but I do agree. I think Lando before this weekend has benefited from luck a decent chunk more than Oscar, and I think now this 34-point gap is pretty representative of where Oscar has been consistently quicker, not by a load, but just consistently more, well, not even quicker, because over a lap, I don't think there's anything in it, but just race execution has been better from Oscar consistently throughout the year, and he deserves a lead. And look, I've said this before, I'll say it again. Yeah, I really like Lando, I really like Oscar. And in this instance where the drivers from a fan point of view, they're both very different characters. I think they're both really good characters for the sport. I like them as people. I want to see the driver who deserves to win. That's what I want to see. And so far, what we've seen this year, Oscar deserves to be ahead, and he is now ahead by 34 points. By the end of the season, if Lando starts absolutely destroying Oscar and Oscar falls off a cliff, then by the end of the year, Lando, well, A, will win, and B, will deserve to have won. You know, and it's a shame when technical unreliability, and we saw this obviously with 2016 with Rosberg definitely getting a good dose of fortune with Lewis's technical unreliability, but at the same time, you know, Nico will always be remembered for that one world title regardless of luck, and luck is always a factor in every championship. And you can use luck as a weapon to hit someone down and be like, no, you don't deserve it, you just got lucky. You can do logical gymnastics with pretty much any world title winner. And just say, oh, they're just lucky they've got a good car, or blah, blah, blah. What will happen. I want this championship to go down to the wire. I think Lando is quick enough for this championship to go down to the wire, but this will really hurt. However, it can go the other way. There's plenty of opportunity. There's still plenty of races to go. Oscar can easily have his car blow up as well. This isn't the first time. This won't be the last time, probably, that Mercedes power units haven't been, relative to the field, that reliable this year. F1 is more reliable than ever in terms of power units, but relative to that higher level of reliability, the Mercedes have been a little bit sus. And you can get taken out. You can get harpooned by Antonelli, which he is kind of, he's done Verstappen and Leclerc now. So, who's next? Kibby, come on, man. Oh, Kibby. What were you playing at, son? Inferno, thank you for the super chat. What was your verdict on the joke penalty for Carlos? Someone else asked me about this. Thank you, Luisma. Oscar is rock solid. No Lomo betting on him for the World Drivers' Championship. Yeah, well, I believed in Ferrari. That was my mistake, believing in Ferrari. Okay? That was my mistake. And thank you, Ratchet, as well. Blessing you, mate. Have a good day and a good move. Thank you very much. Yeah, well, again, in between gaffes at the minute, but fingers crossed it will work out for us. Thank you, Vaporex. Appreciate that. Yes, the joke penalty. We'll just talk about the penalty now. I feel like a couple of you asked about it, so let's get on to the Carlos Sainz penalty. What was the Sainz-Lawson incident? So what was it to you? Was it a racing incident? Was it a Lawson penalty? Or was it a Sainz penalty? Now, Sainz was given a pen. He was given a penalty. The same 10-second penalty that Antonelli got for wiping out Charles Leclerc, which is kind of crazy, but that's kind of what it's like at the minute. They never give 5 seconds really anymore for those kind of incidents. It's 10 seconds or nothing. Well, it's nothing or 10 seconds, and then it goes to like a drive-through or something. So, I mean, look, watching it live, and I sometimes I like to live tweet along with the races, and I thought 10 seconds was very, very harsh for what to me looked like a racing incident. Now, again, we've said this many a time before, in the writing of the rules that the FIA have put together around how far alongside you need to be, blah, blah, blah. According to those rules, Sainz did merit a penalty. I think those rules are stupid. So that's why I think it's harsh. Because, look, at the end of the day, I would rather complain about that and be like, that's an example of these rules being bad, than sit here and be like, well, I don't agree with it, but it's according to Article 17.257879, if you are not at least so far alongside the rear view. Shut up. These rules, it's stupid. They are stupid. At least they didn't punish Charles for his one with Russell, which I thought they were gonna. But to me, this is about as, and 70% of you agree, this is about as racing incident as it gets. I think to say Lawson penalty, 25% of you have said Lawson penalty, and only 5% of you have said Sainz penalty. Now look, I do think Liam is not a very popular driver, and I think that's part. I think part of you. So I reckon some of you, if it put your favourite driver in Liam's shoes, and then rate this one, because I reckon some of this is just you being negative about Liam, but because he has ruffled a few Alonso Perez feathers. Okay, let's be real. Is it still under investigation? It's not, is it? I'm sure it was no further action. I mean, I hope. I'm just gonna, if they have retrospectively punished Charles Leclerc, even though he's out the race, then I don't want to know. I'm not interested in knowing. I'm just gonna ignore it. I'm gonna ignore reality, if that is reality. But but yeah, he's Liam's not doing himself any. Look, I don't. Carlos wasn't. He was. According to what I think racing should be, I think Sainz was far enough alongside to be warranted space. According to what I think is correct. Okay. That is not what the rules are. So, according to these stupid rules, Sainz deserved the penalty. According to me, where he's enough alongside, but it's very close. For me, the outcomes, awful for both of them. Kind of like in Austria with Max and Lando last year. Very innocuous contact. It's a racing incident. Like, to me, it is a racing incident as far as I'm concerned. But there's a big outcome. So it's like, oh no, big outcome for Lawson and Sainz, both getting punctures and still both finishing the race, but it completely destroying their races. That's the way I see it anyway. And 70% of you agree that it should have been a racing incident. 25% of you Lawson penalty. I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about that. Thank you, Ratchet, again for the super chat. Letter the law says it's a penalty, so we have to award a penalty. I think it's rather stupid. Reminds me a bit of the NFL catch rule shenanigans. And literally, go on to after you finish this amazing stream, of course, and after you've liked this stream, and after you've commented below this stream, podcast, live podcast, whatever you want to call this, go and listen to the drivers' post-race chats. With Lawrence Barretto or whoever was conducting the interviews. And Lawson literally says, I don't agree with the Sainz penalty, but these are the rules. And essentially, Carlos kind of should have known that he'd have got a penalty for this, even though Liam was explicitly he didn't think it should have been a penalty for what he believes racing should be. But these are the stupid rules. So just have a pop at the stupid rules as far as I'm concerned. Right, okay. Tomo should single-handedly steward each race. Do you reckon, J-Pro? I don't fancy that job. But Liam also made a mistake oversteering. Well, was it a mistake, though? Again, Sainz, according to the rules, and Liam's driving to these stupid rules, he didn't need to leave Sainz any space. So even him oversteering shouldn't have mattered because Sainz shouldn't have been there, according to the stupid rules that I don't agree with. But yeah, I see what you're saying. Right, okay, excellent. Let's carry on with the stream that I know you will have liked and subscribed to already and all that. Bangers and clangers. Let's reflect, starting with my horrific predictions going into this weekend. Lando Norris race win, no. Banger drive Pierre Gasly. No, it wasn't bad, but not a banger. Clanger drive Ollie Behrman. Definitely no. Obviously, gained more positions than ever. I mean, he loves a position gain, doesn't he, Ollie? So, stinker. Banger Team Aston. For what I've said earlier, I think they left a better result on the table. Even though P7, P8 on paper is very good. And shout out the Aston mechanics for fixing Lance's car, not just once, but twice. I actually think I'm only going to give myself half a point for that. And Racing Bull's Clanger, absolutely not. Because they gave Isack Hadjar a car that he could take to P4, kind of on merit. And then P3 with Lando's car blowing up. So, half a point for me. And you've got 2 points, so it doesn't really. We're not going to sweat the small stuff here. You already beat me with Oscar Piastri, race winner. A banger drive, Max. I'm giving him half a point because I don't think Max could have done much more, but I do think there are some other more deserving bangers than Max. What did Max do, Doze? Yeah, he delivered. What more could he have done? You know, but I'll give you half a point for that. Clanger drive Ollie, no, obviously not. Banger Team Red Bull, again, delivered Max a car that he's never going to win that race, but podium, comfortable, fine. Great pass at the beginning as well from Max, very, very good on Lando Norris. And Haas Clanger, no. Very banging from the HAs that AS. Very good. But either way, you win, so we're moving on. 2, the actual bangs and clangers. Starting with mine, and then on to yours. Banger driver, I'm not going to waste any of your time because it's clearly Isack Hadjar. And 857 of you agree. 83% of the vote, I've obviously gone for Hadjar as well because, well, obviously. Not only did he put it P4, he held off Charles Leclerc for a good chunk of that race, putting him under a lot of pressure, 0 mistakes. And we saw Lewis, unforced error. We saw in those kind of conditions where it's a little bit greasy as well, it's easy to make a mistake. Zandvoort is a track that bites big time. And he just nailed it. And absolutely, I'm very much looking forward to making my video about Isack Hadjar that will be out on the Tommo YouTube channel tomorrow. So be here tomorrow where we talk all about Isack because, damn, he's given Red Bull a bit of a problem, isn't he? He's given them a bit of a good problem, but a problem nonetheless. The Parisian Pistol, the French Flash, Petit Prost, whatever you want to call him. He's quick, this kid. And what a result. Well done him. Allez, le bleu. The Frenchman delivers. Ratchet. Haggy came through. Haggy. I've never seen him called Haggy before. Love it. Or Hadji, I guess. That makes more sense. Because it's Hadjar, not Hagar. But yes, absolute rookie of the year so far, Isack. Love your work, son. 6% Ollie Behrman. 4% Alex Albon. 3% Oscar Piastri. Like, what more could have Oscar done? What more could have Max done? But they don't quite have that story, do they? And Isack Hadjar and someone qualifying bad and then coming through the field is always going to get more votes and look more impressive. So, love to see that. Well done, Oscar. Well done, Alex. I still need to see that first lap. I've not seen back the first lap from Alex Albon where he gained 5 positions on lap 1. I've not seen it. I need to see it. That's the one, Matthias. Oscar with his first Grand Chelem. Chelem. Yeah. The Grand Chelem, Matthias. Smashed it, mate. Ha. So, yeah. Easy win for Isack Hadjar. Easy dub. Well in, son. Clanger driver is Kimi Antonelli. Pit lane speeding. Naughty. Wiped out Charles Leclerc. Obviously went off FP1, which wasn't a great start to the weekend. the thing is, right, Kimi's already shown with that Miami pole position. Kimi's already shown with that Canada podium. He has it in him. And that's what Mercedes will be looking at. They haven't confirmed George and Kimi's extension, but it feels like that's imminent. Out in Q2, not terrible because the Mercedes isn't amazing, but not great either. And just, is Kimi's seat in jeopardy? No. The thing is as well, right? Realistically, Toto making that decision to put a 17-year-old Kimi Antonelli into the car is one that he has to back. You know, he has to now stand by that decision. Or 18, whatever he is now. He has to commit to this now. And the thing is, Kimi has had those peaks, right? So at least, thank God, Kimi has had Miami and Canada. Because without them 2 weekends, this is putting Toto in a very, very uncomfortable situation. With those peaks, it's shown, right, he can do it. You just need to mould it now. He's about as rough as a diamond gets, but we know those peaks are there, okay? So it's like, right, cool. It's definitely there. I was just turned 19, is he? Time flies. It's just me showing my age. So yeah, look, with those peaks, he will get the time, absolutely. But it's another poor weekend from Andrea Kimi Antonelli. Your banger driver, if this is going to click, is also Andrea Kimi Antonelli, 53% of the vote. 27% of you went Lewis Hamilton. And 6% of you, Liam Lawson, and no one else got a meaningful amount of vote. Obviously, yeah, Lewis Hamilton crashing just on his own. Not great. Pretty close to Charles in qualifying. And was running his race, was close to George. And just kind of went a little bit too wide on the banking and shunted. Which, it's been a tough season, isn't it? Been a tough season. Tough first year. For Lewis at Ferrari, which I wasn't expecting anything any different, and he's closer to Charles in qualifying than I was expecting as well. I think the biggest hope any Lewis fans out there is that these 26 cars are more to his liking fundamentally. Leclerc, no further investigation. Okay, thank you, chat, for confirming. Leclerc, no further investigation. All is fair in love and war. Although I wonder if that was the case if Charles had actually finished the race. But anyway, yeah, I think that's what to hold on to, Lewis fans. That these new cars, less ground effect, should be less stiff, a bit smaller, a bit more nimble. Yes, the PU is going to be weird, but hopefully those fundamental chassis characteristics will be more to his liking and be more like the cars of old. That's what to hold on to, you know. But yes, not a good race for Lewis again, not a good race for Kimi again. Banger team. I've gone Racing Bulls actually. I know Liam obviously finished outside the points, and I think, you know, I don't think Liam was any more at fault for that incident than Carlos. I get why Liam didn't leave him space, because that is how the rules are written. Carlos was close enough that I think he deserved space, and I think if the rules weren't written this way, Liam would have left him space, blah, blah, blah. Either way, both cars got into Q3. Isack Hadjar, running P4, kept Charles Leclerc at bay, and would have been P4 on merit. Turned out he was P3. So I think Racing Bulls have done a stellar job. I've seen a lot of people talking about, you know, if Max was in that Racing Bulls, he'd be winning, blah, blah, blah. Look, trust me, I think Max is the best driver in F1, okay? I've said this many a time, and I've thought this for a long time. But I do sometimes also think that some people just think that Max is, like, you know, a second a lap quicker than everyone else. And, like, let's not forget the talent that's on show across the grid. Like Charles Leclerc, like George Russell, like Oscar Piastri, like Lando Norris, like Fernando Alonso. Like, these guys aren't mugs. Yes, I think Max is better than them, and he would do a better job than, Isaac and Liam in the Racing Bulls. Sure. Do I think he'd win the world title in the Racing Bull? Obviously not. Obviously not. Let's not be ridiculous here. I think some people just get a bit carried away, right? Okay? Support your driver, fine, but come on. Max is great, but he is not that much better than everyone else. He's just not. Like, because he is the best, but they are also all some of the best. Max could win in a Haas 2023. The glaze was crazy. It was indeed. It was indeed. Hot Pace, thoughts on Cadillac using Ferrari engines? Well, Ferraris have been quite reliable this year, I think, haven't they? More so than the Mercedes. So, it's not all bad. Alan Permain, elite team principal. Yeah, I mean, Alan's doing his thing. It's been about for time. Another quality F1 individual that Alpine let go. They've let many go in their time, haven't they? But yes, Racing Bulls for me, banger team, and for you, Haas. Great recovery, P18, P19, to P6 and P10, so it's valid. Were they a bit lucky? Absolutely. Ollie said it himself. They did definitely ride their luck this time out. And again, sometimes when you're behind, whether I'm talking about Vettel in Suzuka, whether I'm talking about Lando in Hungary, when you're behind, you can afford to roll the dice. And sometimes that ends up being a dub. It's even like Stroll. He got caught up at the start with Bortoletto. That meant he pitted early, but actually that ended up working for him in the long term because of how the race played out. It's the way it goes sometimes, So 33% of you went with Haas, 32% went with Racing Bulls, so only 1% behind. 21% Aston Martin for banger team, and 6% McLaren. We'll see about that. Farford, Tomo, please tell me if McLaren will change engines in Monza. It seems the safest bet. Look, I don't know. I'm not sure how much mileage was on Lando's engine. I'm not sure how much mileage is on Oscar's engine. I'm sure they will definitely look into it. Because look, the Constructors is one. It's now about giving both drivers equal opportunity in terms of hardware that doesn't break down. And McLaren let Lando down today. They did. They weren't able to deliver him a car. And you could say Mercedes let him down, I guess, because the car broke down. It was an oil leak, whatever, right? At the end of the day, the drivers can only do what they can do. And if the car breaks down, then the car breaks down. That's motorsport sometimes. That's what happens. But, yeah, they will do what they need to do. They will do what they need to do. So, yes, banger team Haas. Fair play. Fair play to you. Clanger team Ferrari. Look, I've said this many a time. When I'm doing these bangers and clangers, I'm trying to look at the teams away from bad luck and away from, things out of their control. Lewis crashed. It was his fault. Charles crashed. It was Kimi's fault. But sometimes when you get a double DNF, you just have to give it to the team that got both cars out of the race. Lewis got a grid drop for Monza. What? Oh, is that for Halita? Is that to do with what happened on these reconnaissance lap? Yeah, yellow flags before the race. 5th place grid drop for Lewis. Ah, dearie me, Lewis, stinker. And I know, Juz, it's not really on the team, but then the problem is as well, looking at a race like this, Haas got very lucky, so it wasn't all on them that they did so well, Swings and roundabouts, in it. But I'm just giving it Ferrari because Ferrari. Ah, dear, Lewis, 5th place grid drop for Monza. Ouch. That is tough. And not on Monza as well. First, Imola's home Grand Prix, of course, but Monza's Monza, man. Come on. Ouch. Not good. And for a driver of Lewis's experience, he should not be falling foul of those types of things. Deary me, not good. So clanger team for me, Ferrari, and clanger team for you, Ferrari. 63% of the vote, 19% Sauber, which, yeah, I mean, Bortoletto had a terrible start, mind you. Would have hoped for more, given their recent performance, and both out of the points, valid. Alpine, both out of the points, valid. McLaren, one of their cars broke down. And it's a drivers' championship fight to the death. Not to the death, literally, but you know what I mean. Yeah. Ouch. Ouch, ouch, ouch. So, these are how the bangers and clangers are looking so far. These are mine. The total list, if you're interested, you can pause here or whatever. And these are yours. You've given banger team to McLaren 4 times. A clanger team Ferrari, you've given to them 4 times as well. Damn. So there we go. First mechanical failure since 2022 for Lando, though. Damn, that's crazy. That's crazy, Helita. That is crazy. So, right. We are 51 minutes in. Let's go team by team to make sure we haven't missed anything. Starting with Red Bull, because they're the first to appear on the screen. Again, don't think Max could have done much more. Now, Zandvoort is kind of on thin ice for its future. Doesn't look like it's going to get extended beyond next year. And I think a big part of it is we'll see how Max performs next year if he's in a competitive car. If he's not, then I think they're going to struggle to... Because I believe Zandvoort is private investor funded and sponsor funded rather than state funded, because a lot of the races do require funding from the state to get through. So might be the last time in Zandvoort next year, which would be a shame. And I would like to definitely get there because I've not been there before. And it might, in the future, never know, they might move Zandvoort to a kind of on-off, like Spa is going to be. But honestly, yes, the atmosphere is amazing and all that. From a track, just looking at the track itself, I would gladly lose Zandvoort. I would gladly lose Imola, because those circuits, those ribbons of tarmac, I don't think are really appropriate for F1 anymore. And then if you're talking about getting a Thai Grand Prix or a Malaysian Grand Prix back or South African Grand Prix in Kailami, then if you've got to make room there, then I think that's probably the place to make it. Championship will be decided by a reliability battle, do you reckon? I mean, reliability is always going to be a factor. Reliability of the drivers as well, above all else. But yes, don't think Max could have done much more this weekend. I think he maximised his. He was aggressive at the start, and he gave us some entertainment. That's the best thing we can hope for. I would love it if Red Bull found something at the back of Milton Keynes. That's just something they'd forgotten about, and they chuck it on the car, and they were like, what's this? Stick it on the car, and it gave Max like a 10th. Because imagine, right? Max gets an upgrade now, and then he's catching the McLarens. And then you've got Lando and Oscar, and then Max like... That'd be sick. That would be sick, and it's a shame that we don't have that. As much as I want to see a different driver win, I want to see... someone who hasn't won it before. Of course, it does, when the same driver's winning all the time. But if Max was to win this year with a late upgrade and just gradually catch, and then just nab it at the end, that would be a vibe. It is too late. I'm just chatting, but it is definitely too late. And Yuki, again, 2.5 tenths off Max in Q1, half a second off Max in Q2, out in Q2. Wasn't able to make any real recovery in the race. Started on the softs like Max did, but not really able to make any inroads. Kept it clean, so P9 in the end. It just still isn't hitting. It still isn't hitting. Spa, Hungary were good in quali, not good enough. Race pace, just he was losing time to the car ahead on that first stint as well. So, yeah, I mean, I want to see more from Yuki. I think he's able to deliver more, definitely, on his day, but I don't know. I don't know if this is just my Yuki bias, but I really still feel that Red Bull just need consistency going into this new regulation set. And this is a whole new era with Mekies at the wheel, Horner's gone, big changes, Permain's in at Racing Bulls. Like, I think just give Yuki a chance at 26, where the Red Bull probably isn't going to be a top car. And therefore the Racing Bulls is probably not going to be a top car as well, because they're both going to have the same Ford power unit. I think just, but Patrick, if Yuki coins dropping, but maybe now's the time to invest, when it's down, that's when you invest for cheap. And then when he's cooking in 26 with his Hexclad pan, if you know, then the Jaws theme is the most strikes on YouTube hot pays. Well, there you go. You learn something new every day. Hopefully you can find something, because we know what Yuki can do. We know what you can do, and we knew what Perez could do. We knew we kind of knew what Lawson could do. We had an idea. We knew what Albon and Gasly, and we know what Hadjar can do. And for Hadjar's sake and for Yuki's sake, I think just give Yuki 26. New car, completely different technical team, fresh slate. Stand by him. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So that's Red Bull. I've got not much more to say on Red Bull. Let's kind of cover them. Aston Martin, again, I think they could have got more from this weekend, but it's still double points for Fernando, for Lance. Lance, that mistake in qualifying, he very lucky he didn't do a big bit of damage to that car again. And obviously his big shunt. Look, Lance is a capable driver, but he makes too many unforced errors. He makes too many silly rookie mistakes. He's not slow. He's got decent race pace. He's good in the wet. Like, in so many ways, he's a very capable F1 driver. But he has not gotten to the point in all these years in F1 where he isn't still making these rookie errors that you should be getting out your system in your first few years. Give you 3 years to make those kind of mistakes. But the consistency, the rate at which he makes these silly unforced errors, like not looking in his mirrors and driving into people, or just dipping his wheel off the track. I'm not saying no one else does it, because of course they do. Everyone makes mistakes. But it's the consistency at which Lance makes those silly errors. It's frustrating. And then obviously you look at what Lance represents and the merit whole thing and blah, blah, blah. And look, realistically, if you're looking for meritocracy in sport, don't look at motorsport, look at other sports, because you are never going to achieve that absolute level playing field of accessibility for entrants, because racing will always be expensive. It's just how expensive, So, yeah, it is what it is. But look, double points, got to be happy with that. Fernando, not happy in the race, being in traffic. Tried something different, it actually helped him in the end. And yeah, look, Aston have everything there they need to succeed. They do that. They have all the equipment, they have the facility, they have Adrian, who is clearly still, whatever he's sprinkled on this 25 car has somewhat turned it around from being absolutely tragic to being half decent. I hope it works out for Aston. I do. And I wonder how much longer it's even going to be called Aston, because it feels like shares are getting sold off left, right and centre. Aston Lagonda have sold their majority stake, I want to say, in the team. But Lawrence will still keep the badge on the car. But Aston Martin's share price, as I well know, is in the absolute toilet. But yeah. Alonso was not happy today. He was not. But a P8, you got to take it. Mercedes, What happened with Russell? Russell, again, got caught napping. He kind of put his hands up about that as well. He was like, yeah, Charles kind of just caught me, really. I kind of had a bad race. He was quite self-deprecating after the race, George, actually. Just was like, yeah, we wasn't there. I didn't really turn up today. And, yeah, the Mercedes is just... He might win in Vegas when it's really cold, but yeah, it's been a very disappointing end to their ground effect. It's interesting that Mercedes have kind of ended ground effect where they started, which is kind of fourth, third quickest team sometimes, and they've just not made any relative progress. You had Aston Martin's second quickest team for a bit. You've now got McLaren quickest team for a bit. Yeah, it's some ways worrying. You would say, although there's been a lot of changes. So Loic Serra, I think, is in at Mercedes now. And there's a fresh opportunity to right some wrongs in 26 and bring this big marquee back to the top. But again, no one's guaranteed success in Formula 1. But yeah, George didn't do much, like you say, Jerome, the does nothing meme. He just does what he does. Antonelli, again, look, I've already said my piece on Kimi. He's shown enough that there is a very, very talented F1 driver potentially there, but he's very rough. He's very rough around the edges, and you know, he's harpooned Max. He's now harpooned Leclerc. Who's next? Hopefully no one. But home Grand Prix in Monza again for Kimi. He gets 2 of them, so hopefully he's better next time out. I've already kind of said my piece, so not much more to say. At least he had pace, I suppose. That's true. Williams. Still, I think, demonstrating that, well, Vowles has said, their car is very challenging to get into that window, that perfect window tyre temp-wise. They've still got their old rear wing as well. They're kind of, it's a bit of a Frankenstein car. They've done what they can, but we know for a long time they've been all full send on 2026, which hopefully Pat Fryer is cooking something for my boy Alex. That's all I'm hoping for. I would definitely say, the deficit between teammates is closed completely now. And this season has played out literally exactly as I thought it would, performance-wise. Albon had the advantage at the start of the year, as he should. Carlos will slowly catch up, and I think now, pace-wise, there's nothing in it. It's less than half a tenth on average, qualifying over the whole season. And Alex got some big dubs on Carlos at the start, so actually in recent races, it's been a bit more advantage Carlos. I think Carlos is unfortunate with the incident with Liam. I think they're running at pretty equal pace. I really do. Which gives me a lot of confidence, actually. I think Alex, if you give him a top car, he can win races. Definitely. I think he's got the ability in the same way that Carlos Sainz does. I think we've seen enough now to suggest that. You can't prove it with absolute certainty. Some people be like, you're crazy for saying Albon's anywhere near as good as Sainz. Yeah, but you all thought Sainz would absolutely wash the floor with him. That's not even a saying, is it? He didn't, and he hasn't. And actually, I think they're very similarly able, actually, I think, as competitors. And I think Williams are in a very, very strong place going into next year. And hopefully they hold to P5, because that'd be huge for them in terms of prize money. That would be huge for them. That was an unfortunate, just straight up rigged. Indrek thinks that the Kiwi bias in the steward's room is strong on that one. Perhaps. No, I agree. He didn't deserve a penalty. Absolutely not. I think it's a racing incident all in all. But again, I don't make the rules. The rules are stupid. If I did make the rules, it'd have been a racing incident. And just unlucky. But yeah, very strong pairing. Exactly, Snap. And excited for the future. Well done, Alex. Big points. Still, I need to find the replay of his lap 1. Because I've not seen it. But he gained 5 places. Which is simply lovely. We love to see it. Well done, Alex. Unlucky Carlos. Once again. McLaren. So, Oscar, again, Couldn't have done much more. Gets the Grand Chelem, as someone called it earlier. And looking very good. Looking strong. Back from the summer break. No mistakes. Out qualifies Lando just. Nothing in it, but holds off the pressure. Those safety car restarts as well, they're not a guarantee, especially with Max behind you. Max is very good at safety car restarts. He's also very good at when he's not starting the safety car restart and just making sure he's right there in your mirrors, And Oscar just chilled, just driving around, mate. Just waiting for a mate. And loved it. Very good. Very seamless, very calm. And even Lando, Max got him at the start, but when Lando overtook Max, start at lap 9, ran the outside, composed, great move. Max couldn't really put up much of a fight. And that McLaren was carrying a lot of pace through T1 and was driving a very good race, was Lando. He wasn't making mistakes. He was putting that pressure on Oscar. That's all he could do in that position. If things had ended the way they had, with Lando being second half off of Oscar, I would have, obviously Oscar would have been the beneficiary and won the race, but I would have rated their weekends performance-wise pretty equally, to be honest. And no, turns out that the oil is not for you. It's broken, as Lando famously once said. Not good. Not good. I don't think it's over. I think it's far too early to say that, and it only takes one of these going the other way. Whether it's a technical unreliability, whether it's a dodgy pit stop for Oscar, whether it's Kimi, Harpoon. His next target is Oscar Piastri to Harpoon. Whatever it may be, it's far from over. But I think that Oscar is very comfortable actually being ahead. I don't think that phases him. And Lando, even subconsciously, is maybe going to feel the need to push that little bit harder. And that's when it's a 34-point gap. I don't know, there's two ways. Does Lando just almost like relax and be like, look, this happens. This is out of my control. This is a tiny oil leak on an F1 car that is just like, these things just happen. It's not even necessarily anyone's fault. It's not like someone necessarily like did up a bolt wrong or something. Like, you just get an oil leak in an engine. Like, it just happens. It can just happen. And if you are maybe a bit more on the spiritual side, you might just think, well, look, this is just the way it goes. I can just control what I can control. And Lando did pretty much everything he could have controlled pretty spot on this weekend. Marginally slower than Oscar in qualifying. Maybe that was because of the toe Oscar got, maybe not. And re-overtook Max, but you can only control what you can control. And I think that's what Lando needs to accept and do the best job he can. Maybe Oscar gets some bad luck. Maybe Lando gets more bad luck. It is what it is. That's all you can go for in his position. I still think this will go the distance. I still think it will go the distance. See, there's too many races left for there not to be one where it's a big swing towards Lando, at least. I still think Oscar will get it done, but it ain't over yet. It ain't over yet. Racing Bulls, again, my banger team this weekend. Very, very good. Excellent. Lovely jubbly. Isack Hadjar, again. Superb. Lovely. I'm going to talk about him in my video that I'm going to get out tomorrow. So, glazing about Isack. What should he do? What do Red Bull do with him? Should other teams be looking at him, sniffing around? Because he's come on the scene as a rookie and he's made a big impression. And not just Cadillac, there's plenty of other teams on the grid as well who might be looking at Isack thinking, They should be. I'm just saying. Very good. And yeah, again, Lawson, not a bad weekend. Just I think it's a racing incident with Science. That's the way I see it. And missed out in the end. But Isaac's got something, isn't he? He's got summit as Isaac. Love to see it. Very good. Happy days. Well done, Mr. Hadjar. Haas, again, Ollie, superb recovery. And Esteban as well, like holding on to those mullered tyres that they were on. 40 odd laps on the hards. And like, I think you play to your outs, get a bit of luck, a bit of fortune comes your way. You still got to deliver on it. You know, it's not a given that when an opportunity is presented to you that you take it, and both Haas drivers got in the points. So, well done, Haas. They are up and down, and they were very much down after qualifying and very much up after the race. So good to see it. Thank you, Hot Pace, for the super chat. You should watch the last IndyCar race after this. Should I now? Well, I do have a video about Isaac to make, but maybe I will try and give that a little watch. Also, thoughts on Cadillac using Ferrari engines. I think I've already answered this, and I think I've already said that Mercedes are the ones that break down. Ferrari don't seem to have an issue with their power unit. It's the car, isn't it? So it's the car. It's the car. Right, Haas. Not much more to say, honestly, on them two. Oh God, Ferrari. Okay, here we go. Oh no. I mean, look, it was looking really bad at times in Q1 was a bit tight from the Ferrari boys. However, in the race, pace looked reasonable. Charles felt he could have done more in qualifying. Lewis was running decently, and then it all went wrong. And again, it's driver error from Lewis, and it's Antonelli error for Leclerc. And I did enjoy the cinematography of Charles sitting on that little mound in the middle of the track, and then Lando kind of joining him somewhat, not in the exact same part of the track, but the camera work was kind of funny. Oh dear. Look, Ferrari just need to get second, which they should get second, because they've got two drivers who are, obviously not this weekend, but are very much capable of consistently getting in the points. Just get your P2, Ferrari, in the Constructors, okay? Get that. Get the prize money associated. And just please, Ferrari, please. They are the team I have the least expectations around, actually. Probably given the least thought to where they're going to be in 26. So obviously I've got a lot of hope. But, I mean, I predicted Charles Leclerc to win the title this year. So that's not new. However, fresh start, Fred at the wheel, Lewis's insight in cars that are potentially a bit more suited to his style. The straws may be being clutched, but there is always hope. There is always hope. Oh dear. And it was even like the way that Charles came in, and then as soon as he's come into the pits, that's when Lewis has his crash. Like, why? Why? Like, I know Ferrari can be incompetent, but also it does feel like they are disproportionately one of them by old Mother Nature, by the luck of the gods, do not seem to shine upon Ferrari often enough, do they? Was it a 2.0 pit stop, Patrick? I did not know that. That is crazy. But see, Ferrari are doing what they can, and they're still getting the L's, you know? Please next year, Ferrari. Please. But all in all, I think Charles was running a decent race. Lewis was running a decent race for as long as it was. And nil point in the end. But Isack Hadjar podium is what really matters. Alpine, I think Colapinto ran a decent race relative to Gasly. Out-qualified by Pierre by about 2.5 tenths, wasn't it? Got it on my point. 2.10 of a second. Gasly out-qualified Colapinto. So 2 tenths. Not terrible by any stretch. But yeah, I think there's room for Franco to improve. I'm glad that they've stuck by him. Again, I never agreed with the decision to take Jack out of the car, but now you've made that decision to go with Franco. Stick by it, commit to that decision. It's harsh on Jack, sure, but I think Franco has shown enough to demonstrate that he deserves an opportunity, because he never had a pre-season with Alpine. All of this, like, terrible preparation going into it, which wasn't his fault. So, yes. Franco, close to points as well. P11 in the end. Very, very close to points, but it was not to be. And the Alpine wasn't as competitive as I was hoping it was going to be around this tight, twisty circuit. And in Monza, surely in Monza, where they've got a power deficit and their energy management isn't very good, like their deployment, the battery isn't very good relative to the other engines, surely they're going to be absolutely honking. Surely they're going to be nowhere. Surely. Some frog. No hate, but Franco would have got points if Gasly hadn't defended against his own teammate. Really? I've not seen that, some frog, but I will check that out. I'll check that theory out as whether Gasly might have cost him. I know Gasly let him through at the end, and then Gasly just kind of seemed to give up looking at the timing tower. He just dropped like a stone. Ouch. But yes, that's Alpine, being Alpine as per. And then finally Sauber, who they've cooked many a weekend. They chose to not preheat the oven this time out, and were kind of nowhere. Hulkenberg out in Q1, Bortoletto into Q2, but had a terrible start, and they kind of they weren't able to capitalise on the opportunities, stuck in a DRS train for most of the race. Not much more to say. Not much more to say. They were in the freezer, exactly. Zero cooking was going on at Sauber this weekend. Again, speak to Yuki, get a Hexclad. No sponsor yet. Hexclad, if you want a sponsor, let me know. I love a bit of cooking. I love a bit of chefing it up. Salad for Sauber this weekend. They are green. They are very lettuce. The lettuce F1 team. Okay, cool. Right, anything else I haven't discussed, chat? We'll dedicate this last little bit of the pod to any other things. An hour, 18 minutes. W, the mum's internet. Absolutely. Clutch. All the streams will be from this Clutch internet location until I sort the internet out at the primary location. Okay. Some weekends are better than others. It's true. Snap, crackle, pop. They can't all be bangers. And this was actually a very entertaining race. Even though Zandvoort doesn't give us much, this was an enjoyable one. I had fun. Might order an Indian tonight, Tomo. What's your go-to? Ooh, what's my go-to from an Indian? That's a great question, Spooky. I need these questions more. So I would go with I always get a sagaloo as my the potato with the spinach. Sometimes sagaloo can be a bit but if I want to get a place with a good sagaloo, decent. I think tandoori chicken is just always my go-to. Tandoori chicken, sagaloo, and some decent rice. Probably mushroom rice. Probably what I go for. That's what I think I'm going for. So those are my suggestions. But feel free, anyone else in chat, to make your suggestions for an Indian tonight if you're getting on that. Minton's not here, I'm afraid. He is not on location. I cannot show you Minton, but it is what it is. Hopefully next time. Why is your background pink yet? This is my childhood home, and I don't have a pink background set up here, but I do have as the other location. And when I finally have a proper dedicated space in the new gaff, whenever we find a new gaff and get into the new gaff, then things will be all great again. I hope Lewis didn't beat himself up in post-race interviews. Sport Ranker, I didn't really get that feeling. Like, he kind of got caught out on the paint, seemingly. I think it's just one where he's had another bad weekend. I think he just wants to get out of there as soon as possible. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Carlos's birthday starting fantastic. Oh dear, I didn't realise that. Tandoori chicken originated in the UK. Look, Gav, I'm not an expert, all right? All I know is that whenever I go to get an Indian, there's always tandoori chicken on the menu, okay? I'm not, don't come to me for a source of authentic Indian cuisine, okay? Not even a picture of Minton. I've probably got a picture of... Well, not probably got a picture of Minton. Actually, tell you what, I've not got a picture of just Minton. Obviously, I have. But I do have a picture. This is a great picture, right? This is of Minton and his cousin Ollie, right? Look at this. Look at that. Ollie in the foreground. Minton in the background. Ah, what a little pair of cutie patooties. Very cute, very sweet. Oh, love it. Love it. Right. And on that note, let's wrap this. Hour and 20 minutes. I think that's plenty. As we're going to be back again next weekend for Monza. For Monza, the Temple of Speed. Can't wait. My pre-race stream will be on Wednesday. Either here or if we sort out the internet at the mother-in-law's, then it will be there. So we will see. We will see. It will be in one or the other location because I refuse to give you lot terrible streams that drop. It's so nice to just stream and just not have any issues. I'm tempting fate here, but it's so nice. Look at Albon on board. He got all the positions in 3 corners. I'm going to look at that on board straight after this, Jerome. I am going to thoroughly enjoy it. Is that my phone ringing? No, it wasn't. Just making a weird noise. Anyway, thank you all. Thank you, Gav, Hot Pays, Rainer, Halita, Lemon, J-Pro, Yash, Patrick, Indrek, Lou, NK McFrin, George, Jinkya, PP, Matthew, Snap Crackle Pop, Hot Pays, again, Matthew, K-to-go, Catlago. I thought it was Katie-go for some reason. Francine, Greek, MG, IDK, Garchompy. Garchomp's not my favourite. I gotta say, I'm not as a Pokemon connoisseur, I'm not a great lover of Garchomp, to be honest. What's your favourite chat? Favourite dragon type Pokemon? Come on. I know it's super niche at the end, but why not? We're here for a good time, not a long time. You can't... Sturlo, Charizard's not a dragon type. What are we talking about? Charizard is not a dragon type. Come on, that is schoolboy. That is school... Aggron. Aggron is not dragon type. Aggron is rock and steel. J-Pro. What are we doing? Infernape! Emilio! Infernape's not a dragon type. What is this washed Pokemon knowledge going on, chat? I'm disappointed. Haxorus, there you go. Ask Gladden, right? Haxorus, that's a dragon. Dragonite, the original Big Chungus. Love to see it. Dialga. Mega Charizards. Come on. Mega Charizard. Mega. No. You know I hate that word. I hate the word mega. Awful. Well, there you go. I mean, what's my favourite dragon type Pokemon? To be honest, I'm roasting you lot, and I don't even know what mine is. What is my favourite dragon type? I mean, he's not a type that has anything that particularly like jumps out to me. You know, jumps out to me. But Rayquaza is kind of iconic. You know, Emerald's probably my favourite game, so it's probably Rayquaza for me. It's probably the only right answer. Don't say combat in this chat. I'm going to block that word from this chat. Right. Cheerio, everyone. Thank you all for taking the time. Do appreciate it. Again, please drop a like, on this if you're watching on YouTube, and comment as well, because it helps the algorithm, helps get this out to the world. New video coming tomorrow. I'm going to work on that tonight and tomorrow and get my head down and get it out before the end of tomorrow, all about a certain Mr. Isack Hadjar and the problem that he's given Red Bull. Good problem, but a problem nonetheless. So thank you again, and I'll see you on tomorrow and Wednesday. Jesus, too much, but not enough. My name's Tomo. Thanks again. Have a good one. Ta-da.